Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to the Meet the Candidates Forum 2017, City of South Fulton, here at the Solid Church. My name is Tony Phillips. I will be moderator for this evening. Let me begin by thanking the Solid Rock Church and specifically Bishop Alonzo Terry for hosting this forum this evening. It is intended to provide information to our community. Just so you know, this forum is being live streamed as well on the internet, so there'll be those who will be able to participate in the forum digitally as well. I hope that this will be an informative session. We're going to ask questions that are relative to our community and give each of our candidates an opportunity to share with you what their positions are around key issues. Before we proceed with the format, let me pause for just one moment. I gave you my name earlier. My name is Tony Phillips. I am an employee of Fulton County. I see some familiar faces out there. However, I always make it clear that I am here tonight as a private citizen. So I'm only speaking for me, my wife, and my children. Amen. I'm a homeowner here in the new city of South Fulton, and I'm very passionate about the success of our community. With that, let me go over our forum for this evening, and we'll proceed directly to our questions. Each candidate will have 1 minute. We'll begin in just a moment to introduce themselves. After introducing themselves, we will begin questions from the moderator. When questions are posed, we'll move through each district one at a time and allow candidates 2 minutes to respond to questions. If a candidate in answering a question references another candidate, their opponent, that candidate will be given 30 seconds to respond. At the end, we will give each candidate an opportunity to have a 2-minute closing statement. So that will be our forum for this evening. And in the interest of time, we're going to dive right in. We'll begin with our candidate introductions, and we'll start immediately to my right and ask that we proceed to the far left.
All right, good morning. My name is Corey Reeves, and I am running for District 5. And I say good morning because it's the dawn of a new day as we are South Fulton. And I'm running to be, because I'm from here, I want to help lead to restore here. And I might not have been the first choice, but now I am the best choice. And we can move us forward in the direction that we need to go. Corey Reeves, District 5.
My name is Rosie Jackson, and I've lived in South Fulton County for 30 plus years, and I've lived in my home, 4365 Melody Drive, for 25 years. I am a concerned, having been involved in the community for 20 plus years. I've worked long and hard for a positive change in South Fulton County. I feel that with the new city, I will have firsthand knowledge with the concerns of my district. For in times like these, people want to see that a person has experience in job creation, and I've done that. I've gone from having a job, being without a job, facing foreclosure, to creating a job for myself and many others. Instead of life breaking me, it made me. I went to North Georgia, crossed party lines, and negotiated from Forsyth County to Blairsville, from Blairsville to Hartwell, and established a 13-county-wide transportation system, showing areas of negotiation with the political parties for job creation. I am consistent. I am the only one that can show you their proven commitment in South Fulton County. I have worked with the local school system. I gave book scholarships to Banneker High School students, and they have come back to our city to give back to us. With our seniors, I have had an adult day health facility in Union City where we service our Alzheimer's and our dementia. I was the first program for the mentally challenged to have an after-school program there.
10 seconds remaining.
Okay, these things I also advocated, and our commissioner can attest, for transportation in South Fulton County. I saw individuals in Union City walking and catching cabs to the bus stop with their children.
Time.
I advocated. Thank you for that. Rosie Jackson didn't wait to wait. She worked while she waited.
Good evening, South Fulton. My name is Benny Crane, and I've been a citizen and a resident of South Fulton for over 40 years now. Raising family and children and grandchildren, and now live in a welcome all community. community. I'm happy to be here to talk about the vision of our new city. For the past 10 years, I've been the tip of the spear leading the charge for the creation of the new city of South Fulton. I have a great vision for our new city. I'm a visionary to get us to this point. So if you're interested in collaborative government, I'm the best choice. Inclusive government, I'm the best choice. Interested in the visionary and ethical leadership, I am the only choice to be the new man of our new city. Again, my name is Ben Crane.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm William Bill Edwards. First, again, let me thank the Bishop for allowing us to be here today in this wonderful church. I was a Fulton County Commissioner for 14 years, and I've known many of you. Many of you have helped me to establish the vision for South Fulton as a district, and we have done some great things. I want to continue to go forward with that vision as we go into the new city. Experience does make a difference. I don't care what nobody tells you. Experience does make a difference, especially when you go into something as new as the new government. I can tell you that I have that experience. I know the people. I know the problems. I don't need to practice. William Bill Edwards for mayor.
My name is Helen Zenobia Willis, and I live in the Welcome All community. My family has been in this community and deeply rooted in this community since 1972. My in-laws reside in Welcome All. My husband was raised in Welcome All. We moved back 13 years ago to raise our children in Welcome All. My brother-in-law is also in the District 3 community. I am pledging to bring financial fiscal responsibility to our city. I am a tax accountant by trade, and our first years is going to be really important that we are fiscally responsible, we build our foundation, and we are standing up a sound municipal budget. I am also pledging to make sure that we meet our public safety needs so that the citizens
10 seconds.
in District 3 can be safe. My name is Helen Zenobia Willis, and I am looking forward to continuing to serve this community.
Good evening to the citizens of the new city of South Fulton. My name is Captain Louis Bell. I'm a retired Delta Airlines International captain. For 38 years, I've made this my home in South Fulton. Before then, I attended North Carolina A&T University, received a degree in electrical engineering, Florida International University with a degree in hospitality management, was the first African-American pilot to fly for Delta Airlines, for General Motors. And then my work here has given me the opportunity to work on citizens, for the right to vote for the city that we now have. I pledge to you service, not only to the community, to you, the citizens, and to make this city the best city that we can possibly have. Thank you, Captain Louis Bell.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Naima Gilliard. I want to stop for a second and say thank you for coming out tonight, and thank you for allowing us to be here. I am the seasoned candidate for District 4, and I'm seasoned because I have worked in communities wherever I've lived, and I've lived in a lot of places. I lived in Atlanta for 20 years. I worked and fought in Atlanta for 20 years. I've been in South Fulton for 13 years. I have worked and fought in South Fulton for 13 years. Worked on a volunteer basis as a community person. I retired from Morehouse School of Medicine as a medical administrator. I have a degree in accounting and health services administration. At Morehouse School of Medicine, I was over a $12 million budget. While it's not as much as our city budget, I am accustomed to moving parts, making critical decisions, and really fighting hard for what is right. I am accountable, I am accessible, I have integrity, and everything that everyone has said thus far is really true about how difficult, but not without opportunities it is going to be to start a city from scratch. Just think about that. That's going to take a lot of work, and as Benny Crane said,
10
it's
seconds.
going to take a lot of heavy lifting, although I'm not going to add Crane to the end of it, okay? But, so we have a lot of work ahead of us, and we have a lot of decisions to make in a very short period of time and be up and running on May the 1st. And we're going to need a lot of help from the community. I've already started working with the community to make sure that they are
Time.
part
Time.
of this.
The moderator always has to be the one to call time. We'll proceed with our first question. It will be for District 5. What approach do you advocate for economic development, including how to both retain current businesses and attract new businesses, the types of industries and businesses we should look to attract, and how to bring good paying jobs to our city of South Fulton? Mr. Reeves, we'll begin with you.
Well, under our economic development plan, what I want to propose is that we have tax allocation districts for warehouses and big corporations. Well, we have a lot of human capital in our very own district, in our very own city. What I want to propose is that if you have a rooftop here and you're an entrepreneur and want to put a business here, if we want to truly make this a live, work, play, worship community, we'll have a tax allocation district for the local homeowner. And the savings that they have, that they save on the tax base, can go to equipment, better yet, employment of someone else who is in the city and can stabilize our tax base. And I'm not interested necessarily in knocking on and having very name brand businesses come to our community where we have entrepreneurs who can brand their name and put it in our city and stabilize our tax base and hire within the community and provide jobs for our youth.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson.
I'm seasoned also, so I'm going to sit where I can read my notes. The approach I would take to advocate for economic development, including how to both retain current businesses and attract new businesses, is to rid ourselves of the crime, the blight, and the streetwalkers. Old National Highway is the gateway for District 5. Our challenges are aesthetically unappealing, public safety, quality of life issues, such as loitering, boorish behavior, and panhandling. Once we began enforcing the code enforcement laws, holding business owners and private homeowners responsible for the upkeep of their property and beef up our public safety, only then would an investor come in and ride the community. In other words, if they ride the community and they see what it looks like right now, they're not going to invest. But after we clean up our community, then once they ride it and they take a look, they'll be able to invest in us at that point. We can market our strengths then, meaning our location near downtown Atlanta, airport, interstate, and the Georgia International Convention Center. Our anchor clientele is aviation, hospitality, and residential and business. We will be a part of Airtropolis, which encompasses aviation, dependent businesses, and the commercial facilities that support them, and the multitude of all travelers who pass through the airport annually. Airport-linked businesses include, among others, time-sensitive manufacturing, logistics, retail, sports,
30 seconds.
Hotels, and conferences. Once we clean up our community, then we can bring in economic development.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. The next question will go to District 3, and we'll begin with you, Mr. Bell. The next question. The city of South Fulton has many diverse neighborhoods and communities, each with its own look and feel. What is your position on how planning and zoning should be handled to both encourage new development while simultaneously preserving and protecting existing communities? What changes, if any, would you recommend to the current county zoning ordinance that governs development in our communities?
As we begin this new city, the first thing that comes to mind is we have a blueprint the comprehensive plan for 2035. And it defines all of the areas that will make up the new city of South Fulton. Each of them have their own distinct characteristics. And I don't believe that we should look for change so much as enhancing and being able to give the services and support to those different areas. That is the uniqueness and the beauty of our city, is that we can offer so many diverse things for so many people and businesses. When you can look from the Chattahoochee Hills area, where you might look toward a vineyard, and you move right down the South Fulton Parkway CID all the way back into the airport area. You've got you've got subdivisions, you've got industrial, you have warehouses and everything else. Meaning that we have something that we can offer to many businesses that come in this area and make them then work with the comprehensive plan that's already in place.
Ms. Willis, do you want me to repeat the question?
Yes, please.
The city of South Fulton has many diverse neighborhoods and communities, each with its own look and feel. What is your position on how planning and zoning should be handled to both encourage new development while simultaneously preserving and protecting existing communities? What changes, if any, would you recommend to the current county zoning ordinance?
The comprehensive development plan is a plan that addresses the land use and zoning for it was for the unincorporated area through 2035. And I think that we need to tweak it, because when the plan was done, it addressed the overall unincorporated area. I think we need to go back and tweak it to speak specifically to districts now that we are divided into districts. Specifically, District 3, when I read the plan, it said that we were considered a rural community. So we don't necessarily, specific to District 3, want a lot of commercial development in our area, but we do want what we do have, the small commercial development, brought up to standard. I think we should adhere to the recommendations in the comprehensive plan. It addresses it addresses land use, it addresses zoning, and it addresses where commercial development should be. It addresses where industrial businesses should be, and it also addresses where churches should be, where schools should be. So we should adhere to the recommendations in the the comprehensive developmental plan with some minor tweaks. I also think we should have an economic development arm, such as Invest Atlanta. Invest Atlanta, they work with new developers, and they do creative financing to encourage new development in their city. So I think that we should work closely with our city manager and also we should create an economic development arm for the city of South
20
Fulton,
seconds.
and just focus on policies, which what the city council persons are supposed to do, focus on policies and oversee the municipal budgets.
Thank you. Next question is for our District 4 candidate, Ms. Gilliard. One of the most consistent concerns in our community centers around programs and options for youth that keep them moving in a positive direction. As a member of the City Council, what programs, options, and initiatives would you advocate for youth, and should the city help to fund those programs?
Well, we already have Parks and Recreation as a department, and Parks and Recreation already has programs. And so I'm thinking that those programs that we really need to, well, first of all, we really need to review the recommendations from the Parks and Recreation Committee that was a part of the People's Campaign to see exactly what they are proposing for Parks and Recreations in terms of programs. And hopefully, within those recommendations, there are some enhancements for programs that already exist in Parks and Recreations. And I think that there is an opportunity to create what doesn't exist rather than to start from scratch to build something that we don't have yet. Because we really are going to have to move in a direction with doing a little bit at a time So everyone is going to have to be patient. We're not going to be able to jump in and do everything, immediately, because it's going to be based on funding. And, we have a lot of priorities. And so once we look at the funding, we look at Parks and Recreations, we see what they already have. There are enhancements that I know that are on the table. There are some enhancements that probably should be. So I think that is an excellent starting point. And I know in District 4, we hardly have any programs for children. We hardly have any facilities
20
for the
seconds.
kids to go to. And so my position is Parks and Recreation is where it should start.
Thank you. Our next question will be for our mayoral candidates, and we'll begin with Mr. Crane. For the last 10 years, the citizens of our new city have paid for all of their own municipal services through property taxes: police, fire, parks, planning, and zoning. In 2016, the budget for the Special Services District was $55,129,652. Now that we are becoming a city, what is your position on property taxes? Do you anticipate tax increases or reductions in the first 3 years of the city of South Fulton? If so, why or why not?
Thank you for that question. Yeah, you're right. We've had about a $55 million budget, and now that we're a city, and we're in line for anywhere from $20 to $24 million of additional revenue from local option sales tax dollars, we'll have the opportunity to repair some things that have gone unaddressed, like streets that need to be cleaned. We need a sanitation department. We need more police officers. So we have a lot of work to do with the additional revenue that we have. But let me also say that since 2007, we have forfeited $313 million in local option sales tax dollars that had we created a city. Had it not been fought against, had it not been defeated, we wouldn't have some of the challenges that we have now. Our millage rate went from $5.75 per $1,000 of value in 2006 up to 11.5 today. When you look at other cities that have been created in Fulton County, none of those cities have had property tax millage rate increases because they avail themselves to the local option sales tax dollars, which is egregious that we didn't have an advocate at the county commission fighting for us so that we could have gotten the $313 million that Fulton County got only because they were servicing the unincorporated community. It's just a travesty. So with the additional revenue that we'll have, there's no need to increase property taxes. What I believe is going to happen, at least it would be if I'm fortunate enough to be the mayor, we'll leave the millage rate right where it is so that we can have some reserves that we can begin to repair roads and repair bridges and hire additional police officers. And after we've begun to address those issues in a systematic and a priority-based way, we'll be able to roll the millage rate back. I would anticipate over the next 3 to 5 years, we'll be able to get back to a pre-2007 millage rate, somewhere back around the 5.5 to 6.5 mill rate. So that's the beauty of doing what we've done now. I just wish that we had done it 10 years ago.
Mr. Edwards, would you like me to repeat that question? For the last 10 years, the citizens of our new city have paid for all of their own municipal services through property taxes: police, fire, parks, planning. In 2016, the budget for the Special Services District was $55,129,652. Now that we are becoming a new city, what is your position on property taxes? Do you anticipate tax increases or reductions in the first 3 years of the city of South Fulton? If so, why or why not?
First, let me make sure that people don't get upset when you say $54 million. That's for 6 months, right, as we roll over. Let me tell you how I feel about this whole issue of tax. You must know that the legislature who created the bill said that we could only, if you want to raise tax more than 1 mil, we have to put it to a vote. I love that. Because if there was a meal, if there was a tax increase, it would be you who would say yes or no. But you got to be very careful because the legislature did not say anything but a half a meal. And $500,000 is a considerable lot of money. You have been paying off your backs on property taxes for as long as I've known it. And let me give you one of the big reasons, is that we did not bring the commercial development in, the good sound commercial development in that would take the burden off of your back as residents and share that burden with them. I think this is where a strong economic development department comes in, that we bring strong economic development in, and that strong economic development will relieve you of a lot of tax burden. If an elected official tells you, say, I'll never raise taxes, beware. I would tell you that would be my last alternative. There are several things you can do before you get to the point of raising taxes. Yes, back in the day at Fulton County, we raised taxes. But let me tell you why. Because the bottom had fell out of the real estate market.
30 seconds.
And you all wanted to maintain the same services that you want to maintain, even though we were getting less money. Those are the kind of decisions that has to be made. So I would never propose a raise in tax. I mean, it has to be very, very bad for me to even look at that. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question will go to District 3, and we will begin with you, Ms. Willis. Our current estimates indicate that an additional $20 million or more could be available to the new city of South Fulton through its portion of local option sales tax. What areas of city services do you feel most needs additional resources? And please be specific.
Specifically, I would definitely, my priority would be to increase the public safety budget. Right now, we have 150 officers, and the standard requires for us to have 250 officers. So we don't have enough officers to be proactive. Our officers are being reactive to some of our crime issues in our community because there's not enough officers. I will also, my priority is to increase investment in our parks and recreation. District 3 specifically has the largest park and recreation facility in the city and the most utilized facility. We currently need our tennis court restored. We need our football field returfed. There are some modifications that needs to be done to the facility, and it's a heavily utilized facility. I went there Tuesday, and you have people coming throughout the district to use our facility. So we need to definitely reinvest in our parks and recreation facility in District 3, the Welcome Mall facility, and we need to invest in our public safety budget so we can increase the head count so that public safety will have what they need in order to keep our community safe.
Thank you. Mr. Bill.
With the monies that we're going to realize, I think it would be an injustice if we don't offer those in public safety, one, a salary and something called a pension that makes them want to be a part of our city and not have to worry about where they're going to go and how they're going to make a living, because so many in the public safety department have to supplement their income. With that type of money, we can look at doing some other things. I understand that none of our police, maybe there are 2 units that might have defibrillators. And I think for our new city, we need to make sure that every squad car has a defibrillator. Every police officer ought to have the narcotic overdose vaccines such that they can help the people there. And we need to make sure that the fire departments have their equipment upgraded to the newer standards that they need for equipment. Some of our equipment is very old. When you do those types of things, you instill security not only in your citizens, but people who look at the city say, now, they're looking after their people and making sure they're safe. The last thing is to incorporate code enforcement in such a manner that they too have the most recent and up-to-date equipment. That being, if we were to be able to put cameras and have them coordinated with the police such that they can see when people are doing the dumping, and they can also be able to communicate with the police. I think when we do that type of thing,
30
we
seconds.
instill security in the citizens, and that's part of what I would do with that money.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. Next question will be for District 5. A city council member must have support from a majority of the council to pass resolutions and ordinances. We have seen examples in local governments of city councils and school boards that became gridlocked. How do you see yourself working with other council members, the mayor, the city manager, department heads, and staff? Ms. Jackson, we'll begin with you. Microphone, please.
I guess I'll look at if I was able to negotiate in North Georgia and work with those constituents of different political parties, I feel that I can negotiate with most. I can agree to disagree, but I would try to make my wishes known for my constituents and try to appeal to my cohorts, my partners, as to what the needs are. And I think if all of us are working for the same goal, that that's to make South Fulton the best city that it can be, I feel that we all can make a difference and make it work.
Mr. Reeves.
Well, I work under the auspice of, and I preach this to my team members at work, you will get a lot more accomplished if you don't care who gets the credit. And we're trying to build a city, a fine, renowned city, but we have a responsibility to our districts, our individual districts. And sometimes it's the word compromise, and we're going to have to make compromises on some issues. You get a little to gain a lot. And in negotiations and working together, it's going to take us all together to make this a world-class city.
Thank you, Mr. Reeves. The next question will be for District 4, Ms. Gilliard. Please tell us, what is your plan to engage citizen input on major issues facing the city of South Fulton on an ongoing basis if you are elected?
I'm so glad you asked that question. So let me tell you why. The day after the election on the 21st, I began to contact all of my opponents who did not rise to, the top two, to talk about how can we work together. And I had a conversation with all but two, and out of those conversations, there were three. I met with three of them, and we decided to develop an advisory committee. So this advisory committee will be an arm of District 4. It will be a organization, if you will, that they will develop, and I'll drive the car, if you will, and they're in the back and they're telling me what direction to go in. But if I see that we're getting ready to hit a wall, I'm going to turn around and say, we need to have a conversation. But the point I'm trying to make is that it will be driven by them, and everywhere I go, I'm talking to the citizens about being a part of this endeavor, because it's really not about just the council person. The council person can't do anything without the community, and the community is always going to be involved in whatever I do as a council person. So I've already started, and I'm so excited because I know that they're going to develop something really, really great. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gilliard. Next question will be for our mayoral candidates, and we'll begin with Mr. Edwards. What is your vision for the city of South Fulton in the first 5 years. What do you see as the highest priority for our new city as you reflect on the vision you have over the next 5 to 10 years?
Thank you for that question. I think it's several. One is that what people tell me the number one priority is crime, and we need to do something about that. I propose to have a police department that's going to be effective, a police department that we can have faith in to do things that we want to do. Education is going to play a big role in where we're going. We're going to have to join hands with the school system, with our school elected officials, to bring our schools up to where they need to be. And I tell you why those two things. Because if you don't have a good record in terms of public safety, and if you don't have a good school, then you will not have economic development. Another thing that has to happen, and I see it every day when these people get on these internets, this community is going to have to heal, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to have to heal. Some of us voted for the city. Some people voted against the city. Some people voted to stay with Fulton County. But there ain't but one boat now. And that's this boat that's taking us on this ride to become the best city that we can be. Somewhere down the line, we're going to have to heal. The other thing that we're going to have to do, and I propose, is that those people who make this journey with us on Tuesday, that we get together and we do team building, and that we get to understand things will come. We got so much to do before we get to where we want to go. Negotiating IGAs with the county.
30 seconds.
Negotiating tax anticipation notes. Negotiating a bunch of stuff before we can get to May 1st. So those are the things we got to do to make sure that as we go in the future that we have an elegant city, a city that people can be proud of, and a city that we can call a destination place.
That's great.
Ladies and gentlemen, we don't have to go far at all to have a vision. I think that was your question about the vision, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, that, for me, it's gone from dream to a vision. Now we have a plan. 5 years from now, we're going to have a clean and a safe city, and we're going to have an ethical government. The question is, how do we get there? How do we get our community clean? We stand up a best-in-class sanitation department that's going to provide sanitation services across this entire city for residential as well as commercial, and we're going to stop illegal dumping at its source once and for all. Our community will be clean again. See, a clean community was not a priority for Fulton County government for our community. So it has been getting progressively worse. So we have to clean up our city. That's part of the 5-year plan. We'll stand up this department and we'll start putting Herbie-Kirby's at your street. And for all these tires that have been dumped illegally, we'll have some accountability for these companies that charge us $2 per tire when we go get tires. They're going to have to demonstrate how they dispose of those tires. And if they can't demonstrate it, they're going to be hit with a hefty fine because we know that those tires will be found at the dark end of the street. How do we get it safe? We have to increase our police force. We need 100 police officers. It's going to cost me $100,000 per police officer. So over time, that's going to cost us $10 million per
30
year.
seconds.
And we have the money to get it done. We'll have community policing. The cops will get out of their cars and start patrolling the community, and they'll get to know the young offenders who are terrorizing many neighborhoods. The young offenders will know the cops will know them. If they live in the city, they'll be able to take their cars home, so there'll be
10 seconds.
a tremendous presence. But we're going to be clean, we're going to be safe, and we're going to have very, very high ethical standards from the mayor on down. That's the plan.
Time. The next question will go to District 5. Mr. Reeves, we'll begin with you. One of the primary responsibilities of a city council member will be to approve the budgets each year for our new city. What is your experience with preparing, authorizing, or analyzing organizational municipal or government budgets in excess of 20 million or more?
Well, as a project manager, I have negotiated multi-million-dollar contracts, specifically in negotiation with subcontracting and as to the Hartsfield-Atlanta International Airport, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and also to the new SunTrust Park. And with those negotiations, sometimes you have to have hardline negotiations and bring people up to, and also the city up to the elevation, and allocate appropriately throughout all the departments over 7 districts. And the one thing I'm gonna bring out there is to District 5 and to the city is I don't wanna see where we have a buckhead and a bankhead exist within our city limits. So over the 20 million plus dollars that we have allocated equally over the 7 districts, I believe that I bring those skills and the knowledge and the leadership for all of us to have equal in our fair share.
Ms. Jackson.
It won't be that long. I have not had that experience, and I will not sit here and tell you I have for a $30 million budget. But I am willing to learn to do whatever is necessary for me to do.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Next question goes to District 3. And we'll begin, Ms. Willis, with you. What are the primary elements of your plan to address public safety? Does it include hiring more police officers? Why or why not? And what is the estimated cost of your plan to taxpayers in our city?
I will advocate for us to take the comprehensive approach to addressing crime in our community. I have been actively working with addressing crime in our community. I was a part of the stakeholder meeting that John Eves called recently to address the slider crime in our community. And I have seen addressing crime work best when you have the community engaged, when you're working with a community prosecutor, when you're working with state legislators, and you're working with the police department and business owners. The cost of it, we know that it's going to cost $100,000 for each police officer. So what we're going to have to do is determine what monies we have and what the needs, assess what the needs are. That's fluid. I can't sit here and tell you what it's going to cost to improve the public safety in our district or in our city. We're going to have to take the comprehensive approach. We have grants we can apply for. We have local option sales tax that's going to be due to us, $25 to $30 million. We have franchise fees that we weren't getting that we're going to get that's going to cost $6 million. I'm fiscally responsible.
30 seconds.
And I think that what we need to do is assess the revenue that we have coming in. We need to take the recommendations from our city manager, and we need to stay in our lane as city council persons and govern budgets and set policies and work closely with our city manager and let our city manager tell us or recommend to us what we need to invest in.
Thank you. Mr. Bell,
Sir, would you be kind enough to read the question again?
Yes, sir. What are the primary elements of your plan to address public safety? Does it include hiring more police officers? Why or why not? And what is the estimated cost of your plan to taxpayers in our city?
The answer to the question is that we have seen a population that was I think it was 10 years ago, much different from what we're looking at right now. We're looking at 123,000 people here. When you put that formula in there for the number of police that you're going to need, we obviously have to have more police. One of the things that we've got to do when we consider getting more police is that we look at the budget monies that we will be getting now because we are a municipality and how that is distributed and what we want to do with that as it relates to public safety. Last year for fiscal year 2017, I think the budget was $16 million for police and code enforcement. Now, when you look at bringing in more, that's with 140 of the 152 policemen. You look at raising that by another 100 policemen, and so there's your $10 million that you're going to have. But look at what we're getting by becoming a municipality, the local option sales tax, the franchise fees, and all the other things that will be made available to us to do that. But one of the most important things, and I think we see it all across the city, is that police are asked to do a number of things in their profession, but in many instances, they are not paid for it. Their pension and other things that they have to look for, you always see policemen out trying to supplement their income at different, after they get off hours. I'm suggesting to you that in this city, we hope to be able to give them enough of an income that they can become an active part in the community living there, so that the community then can see that they're having their police involved with them, living with them. And I believe that when they have the equipment in squad cars and their uniforms and all the other things that they have, they will be more effective, we will be safer, and that's something that we're going to utilize the monies that will be coming in to stand up the best police force that we can have.
Thank you. Ms. Gilliard, this next question is for District 4. There are a lot of details that go into starting a new city. When our new mayor and city council take their seats on May 1st, what should be their top 3 primary short-term goals in the first 6 months?
First thing, in the first 6 months, we need to make sure that we have enough in our budget to cover the basics. We will not probably be able to bring over all of our departments that are currently in the SSD right away. We'll probably have to phase some of them in, and we'll probably have to contract with the county, hopefully, to phase them in. And so the top priority will probably be those that are the easiest to bring over right away. For instance, code enforcement, parks and recreations, planning. Those are 3 that, and not saying that those are the only ones, but those would be the easiest ones to bring over right away. I'm thinking that the police and fire are going to be phased in. And in addition to that, think about the number of people that we're going to have to bring over who will start from scratch, who will have new performance standards, and that's going to be a real big deal. It could be over 500 people that we would be bringing over just in some basic departments. And so
30 seconds.
And so we're going to have recommendations, though, from 14 departments, that committees that came up with recommendations from the People's Campaign to look at, to make a decision, to prioritize. And so that's going to be really helpful.
Thank you very much, Ms. Gilliard. This next question is for our mayoral candidates. We'll begin with Mr. Crane. How important is the city manager position? How should the mayor and council approach this important hire? Should there be an interim city manager appointed on a temporary basis until a permanent hire is made?
Thank you for that question. And Mr. Phillips, I shared with you and the bishop before we started that I have to leave. So I will answer this question and have my parting remarks at the same time. I apologize that I do have to leave. The city manager's position is one of the most important positions. And regrettably, I didn't win this race outright on March 21st, because had I done so, I would have been doing an extensive search for a best-in-class city manager. That is a very key position. We may end up in a position where we have to hire an interim city manager, but in talking to other cities who have created their city, they told me that that was one of the mistakes that they made, and not having a permanent city manager on the ground when they started. So city manager is very, very critical. It's more important that not just that we get one, but that we get one that is proven in having a body of work with a city of this size that is highly ethical and that it has a very, very high customer service rating. But let me say this in parting. It's been my pleasure to be here. It will be my pleasure to serve as your mayor. If you are interested in restoring our community and saving our children, I believe that I will be the best candidate of the two that's left standing because my body of work tells me that I will lead in a very fair and an ethical, collaborative way, and inclusive way, and ethical standards will be at the forefront of this administration. We're going to clean up our community. We're going to make it safe again, ladies. And we're going to have an aggressive economic development plan, unlike anything that we've never had a real economic development plan. So taking care of our people is going to be very important. People are telling me they want their garbage picked up. It's not about me, it's about the people. I encourage you to go to the poll tomorrow before 6 o'clock. Cast your vote for Benny Crane. Ask your friends to do the same. If not tomorrow, go on Tuesday. Cast your vote and let us together stand up a best-in-class city. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Crane. And for those in attendance, Mr. Crane let us know before we started that he would be leaving. We thank you for your participation. Mr. Edwards, that same question is now posed for you. Would you like for me to repeat that?
I think I got it. I think the first thing we have to understand, what is the operation of government? The operation of municipal government was much like that we did in the county. The person who actually runs the government, who is hired to run each department, is the city manager, much like the county manager. The people that you're going to vote on next Tuesday to be councilwomen and councilmen, their job is to set policy. Now let me tell you where the trouble comes in. When policy tries to do what the county manager or city manager wants to do, that's a problem. You have to stay and allow people to do their job. Yes, you have to have the best person you can find to do it. But if you start mingling into their responsibilities into running this city, you're going to have chaos. That person has to be able to perform his job, and that job was to be to run the city and then come back to the board and to the mayor and make recommendations as to things we need done. I've seen some places where policymakers have overridden people like county managers just to get people fired.
30 seconds.
That's his job. His job is to control all of that. So I think we need the best we can find. Hopefully we can find somebody who's not in our community, who is in our community, but if we can't, yes, let's go out and look for somebody else. But if we find people who do things that live in our community, they are stakeholders. They believe in what we believe in, and they're going to do the best job they can. Thank you.
This next question is for each candidate. So we'll begin with Ms. Gilliard and we'll work our way back over to Mr. Reeves. The same question is for each candidate. I know many of you personally, and my assumption for all of you is that the reason you are running is because you care about our city. And we hope and pray, in fact, the bishop led us in prayer before we start, success for all of you. But the simple truth is everybody won't win. The question is, how will you pledge to help the city of South Fulton if you don't win your runoff race?
I do not win. I will stay on the money, the money, the money, the budget, the services. I will be involved, as I always have been, involved everywhere I've lived. And I will be very, very deeply involved because I moved to South Fulton from the city of Atlanta to retire. I love where I am. I love the ruralness. And we just have a lot of opportunities. And so if I'm not elected, I'm not elected. but I'm still going to be there. Thank you.
If I'm not elected, I should hope that what I'm about to say will become part of this new city, because all of us still live here. And we've got one common interest, and that's making this the best that we can be. And I offer this for all of our consideration, that we consider becoming a city, a certified city of ethics. What does that mean? Let me read it to you so there will be no mistake about it. And I hope to participate in doing that. The officers of a certified city of ethics. 1, they serve others, not ourselves. They use resources with efficiency and economy. Treat all people fairly. Use the power of our position for the well-being of our constituents. And finally, create an environment of honesty, openness, and integrity. I pledge to continue to help work toward that for our new city.
If I do not win, I will continue to do what I have already been doing, and it reflects in my numbers. The reason I am leading in the polls is because I'm responsive to the community needs. I have worked with fighting the crime. I have worked with addressing the vandalism of our parks. I have worked for 6 years fighting for us to become a city. I'm the only candidate that registered to be a lobbyist on a volunteer basis. I spent a lot of time at the Capitol lobbying for us to incorporate, because I felt like that was in our best interest. If I do not win, I am going to focus on doing everything I can to work on the campaign for us to get Fulton industrial. I think that will be a great long-term investment for our city. I'm going to continue to work with my daughter's school. I serve on the financial board at Hateville Charter Career Academy, where I oversee a multi-million-dollar budget and set policies. My family has been vested in this community since 1972. I'm not going anywhere. I have been active in this community. I will continue to be active in this community, and I will do whatever it takes to make this community be the best in class community that I know it can be.
Mr. Edwards.
I was looking down the table here, and I think Rosie and I are the only 2 people who ever been in a race and lost. I remember the first time I ran for an elected office. Well, maybe it's the second time. I ran against who is now known as Senator Donzella James. And I called Donzella in to my office, and I said to Donzella, "You are my senator. And I'm going to respect that. I'm not going to do that again." From that point on, I began to lead the Old National Merchants Association. And we accomplished a lot of things as an association on Old National Highway. What am I saying to you? I'm saying to you there's a record of what I can do and what I do, even when I lost. Because the community still needs to be served. If you think that the only way you can serve is to be an elected official, then you are truly wrong. You can serve before you become an elected official, and hopefully you have done that before you become an elected official. So I will continue to do that. Even in my last race, I still didn't give up. If you want to know what Bill Edwards did, go knock on Banneker's door. Go knock on Westlake's door. Knock on the schools and ask them, did Bill Edwards give up? And they'll tell you no. And you don't have to brag about what you did or when you did it. But you got to show people the fact that you did do it. And that's where I am today. Thank you.
Ms. Jackson.
I will continue to do what I've always done. For 20 plus years, working in the community, advocating for our seniors, advocating for our special needs, mentally challenged, disabled consumers, constituents. And yes, I have ran before. and I lost, but I didn't stop. You can ask him over to the side. I'll beat the doors down if it's something I need and if it's something my community needs. But the bottom line is, if you're in it just to win it, it's not there, because it has to be within you. You have to be community driven. You have to want the best things for your community. And as I said, go to Banneker High School, go anywhere, go to the adult day programs, we do senior services. But ladies and gentlemen, remember one thing, Rosie Jackson didn't wait to work. She worked while she waited.
Mr. Reeves.
Well, on Wednesday morning, 19, I'm either going to work for you, the people, or I'm going to the beach. But upon my return to my home, which has always been my home, and we now have our local installed leaders, I will continue the work that I have started. I've always been behind the scenes helping my neighbors and my brothers. I have stepped out to the forefront, and this is my first race. And all I can say is I have met great people along the way, great organizations, and great community leaders. And I will hope to have the ear of the council and the mayor and engage, and also to not stop the mission, because it doesn't stop. It only continues. And when I say it continues with us all together. We have elected officials and we have unelected officials. But one thing will never, ever change, and that's one community. And I will be visible, still be the same place, and I'm still engaged, and I will be wherever I am asked to serve, I will do that. For you, the people.
Thank you, Mr. Reeves. We'll now proceed to our closing remarks. Each candidate will have 2 minutes. Ms. Gilliard, we'll begin with you.
I would very much appreciate your vote. I think that it is so important for us to get out and to vote. And as someone said earlier, a lot of people died, went to jail, and so forth, just for us to have the right to vote. And so please vote. Please encourage your community, your friends, your family, everyone to go out and vote. This is a historic event, and maybe many of us don't really realize it. We're getting ready to create a city from scratch. Big endeavor, and it's going to take all of us to be involved with it. Make sure that you be involved with your district council person, and that you take to them, the things that are close to your heart, the things that you really want to work on, the things that you really want to see. There are so many things that we're going to get involved in as council people that will require public hearings. Come out to those public hearings. We'll have to have a public hearing if we revise, or rather when we revise the comprehensive plan. Come, give your input, your ideas, and when all of that happens, it'll just be great for every last one of us, including and especially our children. Thank you.
Mr. Bell.
As I reflect on a closing statement, I think of this. All of us here have varied backgrounds, and we bring talents that are distinct to each of us. I bring to you something that I believe is going to be necessary for us to thrive, and that is vision and discipline. All of my life has been under the microscope for everything that I've ever done, have been a leader in many of the things that I've done. But right now, as we stand here about to launch what will be the new Black Wall Street, and if any of you are not familiar with that, that's the story of Tulsa, Oklahoma. We have that staring us in the face right now, and we're going to need all of us working together to make this successful. No matter whom is elected, all of us have to commit to making this city what you want it to be, because it is your city. And I simply ask for the opportunity to serve you. because that's exactly what this job is going to be, is a job of service. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for your confidence enough in me to be here in a runoff. And prayerfully, all of us can be proud of everything that we have said and done during this election and as we move forward together as a city of South Fulton.
I have been responsive to this community needs, and you have responded to me. And I'm asking you to respond to me again and go back to the polls and vote for me tomorrow or either on Tuesday. The first years of this city, we are going to need someone that is going to be fiscally responsible. We will have an influx of revenue into this new city. We're going to have to build our foundation. We're going to have to make sure that we are financially sound, and we're going to have to make sure that our tax dollars are used efficiently. I have over 15 years of taxation experience, and I know through talking with the residents in District 3, they were most concerned about their taxes. We are going to have a safe city because we have the money to make sure that we have a safe city. And we are going to have a clean city because we have the money to ensure that we have a clean city. I'm asking you to go back to the polls and vote for Helen Zenobia Willis on tomorrow or either April 18th. I am pledging that we will make sure that every tax dollar will be accounted for and used efficiently. The decisions that are going to be made during our formative years are going to have an impact on us for years to come. You, the citizens, need to make sure that you elect the right people with the right skill set to make sure that the right decisions are made so that we are making sure that our tax dollars are spent efficiently and responsibly. Thank you. My name is Helen Zenobia Willis. I need you to come back to the polls and vote for me tomorrow or either April 18th, which is Tuesday.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is real serious business. It ain't about catchy slogans. It ain't about catchy phrases that make you laugh. It ain't about saying negative things all the time about governments and stuff of that nature. This is serious business. And we got to treat it as such. We don't even have a place right as of this day, we don't even have a place to go on May 1st. We don't even have a home. Those are the kinds of issues that we have to make sure that we're in line with. Make sure that the IGAs, as I said before, make sure that our TANs, and make sure that all of these things are in line so we can start a good government. It ain't about nothing else. It's serious. And when you're forming a government where no one else has ever been before, when you want to go down the road in your new car, you probably don't want your 14-year-old child driving. We got to have experience in this realm to get to where we want to go. Someone asked me today, Bill, what about new ideas? And people say fresh ideas. And I said, my answer to that question is simply this, Pastor. Yes, they're good if you're already established. But if you ain't established, you're going to need some experience to help out. Does Bill Edwards know everything? No, I don't. But I've learned a lot. I stepped in a lot of holes.
30 seconds.
And dug myself out of them. But I've learned through that. And I want to share this with these people. I want to share that with them. I don't want you to fall in holes like Bill Edwards did in some things. I want to let you know that that hole is there. That's what I'm bringing to the table. Vote for William Bill Edwards. Come back again. Vote for William Bill Edwards tomorrow and Tuesday. Thank you.
Ms. Jackson.
On March 21st, I went home and went to bed after leaving the polls. I received calls that I was in the lead. And what I'm saying tonight is let's finish what we started. Tuesday will be a historical day. We will be the first African-American city since 1926. Am I correct? Ladies and gentlemen, people are watching to see what we're going to do. Are we going to make a mockery out of this? Are we going to make it work? Please exercise your right to vote tomorrow or April 18, 2017 for Rosie Jackson for District 5. And once again, I must tell you that Rosie Jackson did not wait to work. She worked while she waited.
Ladies and gentlemen, I thank y'all for coming out this evening. And if we fail to plan, then we plan to fail. My slogan out there is high five for District 5, because those are the top 5 priorities that I know the city should address first. And the hand is the helping hand that I've always lent to my neighbor and to my brother, with the sure belief of am I my brother's keeper, with the spirituality that is in me, and to help lead the people and move us forward. And yes, we have issues. Yes, we have problems. But we now have local leaders with local solutions. And we need you, the people, to go out to the polls more than ever before and exercise that inalienable right that was granted to you as citizens and vote. It is our greatest equalizer. It's the only thing that we have. And there's no electoral college in this race, because your vote is truly your voice for the leader that you want to have and to what you want to see. And elect Corey Reeves tomorrow and Tuesday on April 18th. Thank you. Elect Corey Reeves, and high five for District 5.
Let's give a hand to all of our candidates. We certainly want to thank them for being here this evening, and I want to go out of my way to thank each of you for being here this evening, and those who may be watching online. I want to offer one brief suggestion and encouragement before I'll see if Bishop Terry wants to give us some closing remarks. This has been a long process. It has taken several years to pass the cityhood referendum through the state legislature. That was a fight, a long, hard fight. And then once we passed that earlier last year, it was a long campaign to pass the cityhood referendum last November. And then each of these candidates can probably tell you how long this city council and mayor race has been. So it's been a lot of hard work. And there's a tendency when you've done a lot of hard work, when it's all said and done after next Tuesday, everybody takes a deep breath and goes, oof, it's over. That's understandable. But my encouragement is to you is it's truly just the beginning. Come May 1st, history starts for our city. We are going to get the government we deserve. Let me say that again. We're going to get the government we deserve. Us as citizens can't go away and hide once the city starts. We hold our government accountable. We hold these public services, and these are all great folks. I know many of them. But we hold them accountable because this is our community, our families, our children. Stay involved, stay connected, and keep praying for our city. With that, I'll turn it over to Bishop Terry.
Thank you. Will you give these candidates a hand and appreciate them being here? Will you do that right now? Out of all the questions that was spoken today or presented, one that I really liked was the last one. If you're not elected, what would you do? That says a lot about an individual and their motives and how they view their community. And I'll leave you with this. It was Martin Luther King who said, service is to rent, I pay for a living. Amen. Let's bow our heads as we close in prayer this morning, tonight. Father, we thank you today. We pray for each candidate here that your will be done. They work very hard, long hours. I pray, Lord, that you will strengthen them in their very difficult time. And Lord, I pray that our city will be in the forefront and that people will be engaged and involved. This is an opportunity you've given us, Lord, Let us not waste it. And I pray, Lord, that people will participate tomorrow and on Tuesday with their vote. Lead us, as we leave this place today, go with us and guide us, and your will be done in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir, thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. Good job. Corey, thank you. Good job.
Corey, I really appreciate that. Appreciate what you said. I want you to know.